The most important work you will ever do will be done within the walls of your home. That is one of my very favorite quotes, and it's hanging in my kitchen as a daily reminder that the things that I'm doing, although they may seem insignificant and small, are very important to the people who I love and to the people who I've chosen to serve throughout the days of my life. I want to talk to you as a fellow homemaker, trying to encourage you that the work that you're doing is very important. And although a lot of other people might make a lot of other accusations or comments that are derogatory or critical of you and your daily work, I want to encourage you to believe that what you are doing really matters and to take a little bit of time to talk about some of the things that I think will help your homemaking journey be easier and easier every season of your life, as well as some tips and tricks that I have come across that have really made homemaking and cleaning a lot easier than it has been for me in the past. Before we begin, I want to let you know that there should be chapters underneath the video so that when you scrub through, you can see the different topics that we're going to talk about in today's video. At the beginning, I'm not really sure how long this video is going to be, and I realize you may not want to invest 30 minutes or an hour to talk about all of the topics that we're going to cover in today's video. So if you're looking for a particular subject that might be helpful to you today, just go ahead and scrub through those chapters down below. That will make it a little bit easier for you to be able to digest the information a little bit at a time when you don't have a long time to just sit down and watch the entire video. No feelings are hurt, and I totally understand that you have to take a couple of snippets of time whenever you have them given to you. My main goal having this channel is to encourage you as a homemaker to know that what you're doing is very important and to encourage you on that journey. And if you have a couple of friends who you feel like might really be able to benefit from that encouragement, I hope you will send this video to them so that they may know how important their work is as well. Okay, with all of that being said, let's talk about the number one thing that I have found to be the key to success as a homemaker. I really believe that the key to successful homemaking is finding joy in the work that you do and keeping a positive attitude throughout the days and throughout the seasons of your life. Life is hard, and it's even harder whenever you are struggling to keep a positive attitude. But when you can just sit down, think about all of the benefits that you're gaining from this particular work and have a positive outlook about the service that you're offering to your family, it makes all of the difficult tasks of homemaking become joyful opportunities of service. I know that that is not easy. I'm sitting here telling you this knowing that even this week, as I was creating this video, I had several situations that caused me a lot of frustration, and if I hadn't dealt with them in an appropriate manner, they would have built up resentment toward my family. That's the last thing I want to do. I'm here to serve my family, and I'm here to make their lives joyful and happy. I want to create a home environment of love and support and encouragement. But if I let those seeds of anger and resentment dwell in my spirit for too long, it will cause me a bad attitude about my family members, and it will cause me to huff and puff throughout my day instead of enjoying the time that I have with my family. That little bit of time that we have with our kids especially is very precious. And we don't want them to look back on the days that they spent in our home and feel like they were a burden, or to feel like mom was always aggravated at me because of something that I did or something that I didn't do. So finding a place of joy and contentment in the work that you're doing is going to make all of the difference in the way that you feel about your job as a homemaker. It is so easy to get frustrated about people not picking up after themselves or about having to do the same job over and over again. But if we give ourselves a little bit of a mind shift, it's going to be so much easier for us to think of those things in a positive and enjoyable way instead of being bitter about the things that we have to do on a daily basis. So our main goal in being a good homemaker is just to have a good attitude. And I know how hard that is. You spend your days cleaning messes that you did not make, washing, folding, and putting away clothes that you will not wear, washing dishes that you did not dirty. On and on, all of the tasks that we do are tasks of service. But you are serving those who did make the messes, those who will be wearing those clothes, and those who did dirty the plate. And they are looking to us to create a positive atmosphere for them to bloom and grow. So the choice is ours. We can fuss, nag, criticize, and begrudge the work that we have to do, or we can accept the duties of our job as a homemaker with a peaceful contentment that acknowledges that our to-do lists will never be done, but neither will our hearts be empty. Let's talk about how we can become the best homemakers that we can be while creating the happiest homes that we can to share with the people who we love the most. I think it's really important for us to realize that we cannot do everything there is to do every single day. It's just not possible. There's so many working parts to a home and to homemaking that you cannot possibly expect yourself to be able to get all of those things accomplished every single day. It's really helpful for me to create a list of the top 5 things that I need to do every single day to make sure that my home is running as smoothly as possible. This list helps me to feel accomplished and successful in my day, even if nothing else gets done. I can't have a list of 25 things to be done every single day and feel successful, because I know myself well enough to know I'm not going to get to all of those things. I don't want to go to bed every night feeling like I was a failure, even though I'm exhausted and worked as hard as I can. So if I can get these 5 things done every single day, I will feel like I can go to bed having done a really good job. So my list of 5 things is making the bed, emptying the dishwasher, loading the dishwasher and also washing up all of the other dishes, washing, drying, and putting away 1 load of laundry, and then doing a quick tidy up in the living room. If I can do those 5 tasks every day, I know that my home will be running smoothly and that things will stay at a good level so that it's not difficult for me to get everything else in order. It's really important that you write these 5 things down. It's important that you have a list to go by and can check off those 5 things that you have accomplished, and know that you have not just whittled away your day, but you have been focused and intentional in the time that you had to serve your family well, while still not spending every waking minute doing household chores. That is just really not sustainable. To expect yourself to spend every single waking moment doing household chores is not going to allow you to be joyful in your work. Everyone needs a break. Everyone needs some time off. And doing things that you enjoy doing outside of washing the dishes and doing the laundry is going to give you a happier outlook on the things that you do need to get done in your home. There's obviously so much more that needs to be done than these top 5 things, but this list is just to give you a good starting off point so that if you don't have time to do anything else, you will know where to go and where to best spend your time with the little bit of time that you have to spend toward chores. I think it's really important for us to consider how well we feel as accomplished homemakers at the end of the day. I don't think that's trivial. I think it's important for us to feel like we have really accomplished a lot. In my season of life where I have a husband, I have adult children, and also a preschooler, it is difficult for me to get a lot of things accomplished throughout the day. And I need, at the end of the day, to know that I really have served my family well. If I have gotten a good meal on the table for dinner, if I have gotten our dishes at least somewhat caught up, and if I have tried to manage my time wisely as far as getting these 5 top tasks accomplished. After you've made your top 5 list, think about all of the rooms in your home, excluding your children's rooms, and think about all of the things that need to be done in those rooms on a weekly basis. We're not looking for perfect. We're looking for, is my home in a situation where if somebody says, hey, do you mind if I come over, that everything is 30 minutes from being picked up to the point where you won't be embarrassed if somebody comes over and walks in your home. If you aren't able to get to that point, it's okay, because we're going to have time to work toward that, and we'll talk about that later in the video. But right now, what I'm encouraging you to do is to go through each room in your home, take an inventory of the things that need to be done on a weekly basis. Write those things down and make yourself a room by room to-do list. This is going to help you know what to do whenever you get to that particular room, instead of feeling overwhelmed or allowing the little things that will take up all of your time to distract you from the big picture of getting most of the work accomplished every week. I find it very helpful to assign a day to each room in my home. I do not always do this, but when I do, this is the way that I have found to keep my home as orderly and neat as possible without feeling overwhelmed and burdened. So on Monday, it's a perfect day for me to get in my kitchen, get everything as neat and clean as possible, and then on the other days of the week, I can focus on my bedroom, the bathrooms, the living room, and the laundry room. When I'm able to get to every room every week, it really reduces the difficulty of keeping those rooms under control. And even if you can't deep clean every room every week, just going into a room and knocking off the top 3 things on your list will really help to keep your home in an aesthetically calming state. I also think it's really important for us to realize that even though we do have this list of our top 5 duties as a homemaker every day, and also the top 5 things that we need to do in each room. It's also important for us to realize that we're not going to get all of that done every single week, and we need to give ourselves plenty of grace in the difficult seasons of life where we really just do not have the time or the energy to devote to particular tasks in our home. I recognize and I have lived through phases in my life where I just have not had the ability or the opportunity to do the things that needed to be done. Those are the times when you really need to ask for help. I really hope that you have several people in your life that you can ask for help and are very happy and willing to, without any sense of judgment, come in and give you a hand when things are difficult and hard. I know as someone who is independent and doesn't like to ask for help that can be very hard. So I'm not saying that this is easy, and I'm not saying that this is the best case scenario for you. But if you're in a season of life when you're having a difficult time being able to just find time to do the 5 main daily tasks, it may be time for you to ask for help. Maybe this is a housekeeper that you can pay to come and do a little bit of work each week. Maybe this is a sister or a friend who will be willing to come and serve you for 30 minutes every day, just taking a little bit of a load off. Maybe this is your children who can pick up and do things for themselves and a little bit extra to take some of the load off of you. Maybe this is your spouse. Try to think of all of the people that you have in your life that can serve you, and then ask them for help. And after you've asked for help and after you've done all that you can do, you cannot allow yourself to feel bad or insignificant or like a failure because you have not been able to keep up with the household chores. Being a homemaker is not all about doing chores. Being a homemaker is not about checking boxes off of a list. Being a homemaker is about creating an environment of love, support, encouragement, and peace in your home. And if you're able to provide your family with a peaceful environment and there are still dishes in the sink and clothes in the laundry hamper, you have still done a very good job at your life's work. All of the dishes are never going to be clean. All of the laundry is never going to be washed. But if you can just create a loving, peaceful home environment, that is the work that you are called to do. So asking for help is really important, and keeping a positive mindset about yourself as well as your family is as important as getting all of your chores done. So don't underestimate the value of positive thinking, of thinking well of yourself, even if you don't get everything accomplished, even if you don't have a single minute to devote to household chores on a particular day or week or season. Don't allow it to cause you to feel like a failure as a homemaker, because you are not. As long as your focus is on your family and on your home, making sure that they have a calm, peaceful place to land, you are doing the important work. During those times when you can't even get to your top 5 things, spend any time that you have as far as housework on things that you know will allow you to keep things from getting out of control. So don't pile up piles of paper, throw paper away, and don't allow it to pile up to become clutter and a stressor for you. Make the things that you do need to do on a regular basis as easy as possible during those seasons when you just don't have a lot of extra time. Paper plates are not a sin, and you have all the rights in the world to go and spend 5 cents for a paper plate to make your life a lot simpler. Give yourself permission to do things the easy way. And if you need to use convenience food at mealtime, there's no wrong in doing that. So make things as simple and easy as possible for you during the difficult seasons. And then once that hard time is over, you can go back to hand washing all of your plate and creating delicious homemade meals for your family. Give yourself grace in this time of difficulty, and the peace that that will give you is absolutely priceless. Another thing that I think is very valuable that I'm having to work on personally right now is whenever I have a little bit of time, I have several choices. One, I can just sit and do nothing, which is absolutely fine, and there's nothing wrong with that. I can find a little task to do while I'm sitting, like writing a letter or looking through a cookbook or maybe making a meal plan for the next week. Or I could sit and scroll on my phone. I really do not like the fact that I am very likely to pick up my phone and do the scrolling thing for 15 or 20 minutes. I feel very unproductive and very aggravated at myself when I do that. But I also know that sometimes I need to just clock out. So I'm really trying to take more time to read a book during those times, or to do a small task like look through a cookbook or make a meal plan, instead of taking those times and just filling them with empty, unimportant things like scrolling on my phone that really makes me feel bad about myself, and instead filling that time with things that I do find to be productive and helpful throughout my day. Nobody wants to work all day, every day. Everybody needs a break. But I do think that it's important the way that we fill those break times in our days. And if we want to set a timer and look on Instagram for 15 minutes, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that there are some helpful benefits to that. I learn a lot on Instagram, and I'm not bashing them at all. But I also feel like sometimes unplugging, reading a book, looking at a cookbook, writing a letter is a much more beneficial way to use that little bit of extra break time that we may have. And I think in the long run, it makes me feel better about myself whenever I do feel like I'm doing something that's a little more productive than just scrolling on my phone. So now that I've given you all of the encouraging words that I could think of, let's talk about some tips and tricks that really will help you create a home environment that is easy to keep up with and that is easy to keep clean, while also not making yourself crazy or nagging at your family. I think it's really important, first of all, for us to remember that nobody's house is perfect. I mean, there may be a small 1 or 2% of people in the world who are able to keep a perfect home, but I think the majority of us, and I'm talking about a vast majority of us, live in sort of a low level of mess all of the time. Like nobody's house is perfectly clean all of the time. And I find it so funny that whenever I'm creating a video, I have a choice to make. I can either get everything spotless in front of the camera, or I can just leave a little bit of mess here and there and y'all see it. So it just really depends on the kind of mood I'm in, whether or not I'm going to clear out the area that is in my camera view, or whether I'm just going to leave a couple of things out. But you can always know that behind the camera, what you can't see, there's always going to be a little bit of chaos. We sort of just live in a low level of chaos in our lives. I've lived my life for this long and have never learned to just pick things up as I go. So there's always just going to be a little bit of mess. I think that's perfectly normal. And I think that people who try to give a persona of perfection in their home not only do themselves a disservice, but also all of the rest of us who are looking at their home from a lens and only seeing perfection. It can really make us feel bad about ourselves. But whenever you see that, just think about my house and think about all of the mess that's behind the camera. I promise you it's there. You see it a lot anyway. I don't hide everything from you. But there's a lot of times when you can see a little bit of someone's life and think that you can fill in the blanks, but you don't know all of the blanks that they don't tell you about. And the hard thing about that is you know everything about yourself. You're sitting in your home probably right now seeing all of the laundry, all of the unmade beds, all of the dishes, and you are thinking, why can I not be more like them? Well, honestly, they're more like you than they want you to believe. And just know that if your house is usually messy, you're really normal. Also, think about the season that you're in. As a homemaker, we're going to go through seasons. So, take my life for example. I started out early in our married life as a homemaker. I didn't have an outside job, but I was terrible at keeping a home. It was messy, it was cluttered. I didn't know what I was doing. And finally, my mom came in and was like, we need to organize this. So she helped me get things organized. And then I had 3 babies in less than 2 years, and everything sort of blew up again. I was drowning in laundry. I was so busy just making sure that they were fed and well and cared for that things in the house really took a back seat, and I felt really bad about that. I have one picture of Chris and my twin girls when they were probably 3 months old, and I always used to feel so bad about myself when I would see this picture because the couch behind them is just covered, piled in laundry. And I used to really be down about myself about how poor of a job as a homemaker I was doing, and that I really was not being focused like I should have. And then now I can fast forward and think about that picture and see it in such a different light, because now those babies are grown, and I have a 4-year-old who I'm now able to see really takes so much time to care for and nurture and nourish. And it's not just about getting the laundry done. That's not all there is to do. I had a lot of picking up to do, a lot of cleaning up to do that I never got to. But I did have these 3 babies that I loved so much and that I was teaching and nurturing and growing. Whenever they grew up a little, we moved to a bigger house, and we really doubled in the size of our home, which allowed us a lot more space and a lot less clutter. That home was a lot easier to keep clean. It was a lot easier to prepare for company. It had closets, which I had not really had before. And the kids were also older, so they were able to help keep the house clean as well. Then we decided that we would sell that home in a subdivision and build a home on a farm. And so that was another process of growing and developing, changing. And now I'm to a point where I have 3 adult children. And now, of course, we have Lane, who is a blessing, but does take up a lot of my time. I think probably at least 90% of us just have too much stuff. We've got more stuff than we have room for. We have more stuff than we can deal with in a regular, timely manner. And it seems like the easier it is to buy and accumulate things, the worse the problem becomes. So let's talk about taking control of the clutter in our home, which I think will really do a lot for us as homemakers to keep our homes as stress-free as possible. I looked up the statistic, and I think it's like 20 to 30% of the things that we own are actually things that we use on a regular basis. So that's a lot. Getting rid of half of our possessions may seem like very drastic and unnecessary, but if we can just begin by decluttering a couple of things every day or every week, get in a habit of removing things that we've noticed that we haven't used or have a hard time finding room for, I think will really benefit us in the long run and will help us to keep our homes a lot easier to take care of on a regular basis. I have literally decluttered probably 10 truckloads in the last 3 or 4 years. I had sort of begun a mind shift whenever we moved here 7 years ago. But it took me a while to realize that the real problem was me bringing in too many things and not having a constant flow of things going out. I think everything just sort of clicked with me one day, probably 4 years ago or so, and I was watching a show that it's probably gross and you don't want to watch it, but it's a show about hoarders and their homes and how sort of unlivable the situation has finally become, to the point where they call in help and they call in experts. And I was watching this show, and it was like a switch flipped in my mind. I do not want to be in that environment. I do not want to create that environment for my family. I do not want my home to end up looking like that. So I am getting rid of all this junk. And for the next probably 4 months, I was constantly getting rid of things. I mean, I was being ruthless. I was getting rid of things that I liked, things that I used on a regular basis but had more than one of. I got rid of them. A lot of the decluttering happened in my kitchen and in my closet. And I can tell you that I will never go back to holding on to possessions. I will always be happy to just let things go. Some things are arguably more difficult to let go than other things. It's a lot easier for me to let go of a pair of shoes or a shirt than it is something in the kitchen that I might be able to use or I might need later on. But I have found that the best way for me to just have a mindset of getting rid of things is if I ask myself, how easy is it to replace this item? So if it's super easy for me just to go to Amazon, order it and get it shipped to me, and it will cost less than $20, it's very easy for me to just say, okay, I'll just get rid of that, and if I find that I need it, I will replace it in a month or two when I realize I really shouldn't have decluttered it. I really should have kept it. So that to me is a really easy gauge on should I let something go or should I keep it and give it another chance and see if it makes it through the next round of decluttering. In all honesty, there's only a few things that I have decluttered out of that 10 or 12 truckloads of items that I have gotten rid of that I've really regretted giving away. So my bread maker was one of them. I've talked to you about my bread maker on several different videos recently, and I got rid of it. I actually bought it at a thrift store and I sold it on Mercari. So I thought that it was a good decision for me to get rid of it at the time, but I've always regretted it. And so I've always been on the lookout for a replacement. And just so happens, I found a replacement for $5 at the thrift store the other day. I bought it and I've been using it regularly ever since. So maybe it was that experience that caused me to realize the value of that bread maker. Whereas if I still had the old bread maker, I think I probably would not be using it as regularly as I am the new one. So there may be even benefit in decluttering things that you do have a value in, but they need to go for a season or two, and then you can replace them whenever the time is right. Another thing to remember about being a really good homemaker is things are not going to be perfect every day. And if you're in a difficult place, like I was several years ago, when things were just building up and there was too much stuff in my house, you have to realize that things are not going to get better overnight. It is a process that takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of patience to continue working and getting your home where you want it. One day you will get there, but it is a work in progress, and don't be hard on yourself just because you can't get it all done in one day. Give yourself grace and know that this is a process that as you go through it, you're learning and you're building muscles that will help you to be a better homemaker in the future. And that's really where keeping your routine and doing your top 5 household chores, as well as focusing in that one room every day of the week, is really going to help you to get your home to where you want it to be and then to keep it there long term. Lastly, let's talk about some things that we can do to make cleaning a lot easier and also a lot more affordable. I do not buy store-bought cleaning products, except for a few things that I'm going to talk about in this section, and they're all pretty much natural ingredients that make cleaning simple and easy and also affordable. I used to clean the bathroom with those regular bathroom cleaners, and I would cough and choke, and I would feel like something was not right. So I finally figured out how to make my own household cleaner It works perfectly on everything, and it's super easy to put together with things that you probably already have in your home to begin with. I like to make my household cleaner diluting a bottle of vinegar with 50% water. So if I have a 12-ounce bottle, I'm going to pour 6 ounces of vinegar, 6 ounces of water, and then I will either add 6 drops of lemon essential oil, orange essential oil. You can pick any oil that you want just to give it a little bit of a scent and also a little bit more cleaning power. I've also learned that I can make my own orange oil cleaner by just soaking orange peels in vinegar and pouring that in the water instead of just plain vinegar. This really does a great job cleaning all of your stainless steel appliances. It's perfect as a window cleaner. It does a really good job in the bathroom and in the kitchen. It is an antimicrobial, it is an antibacterial, and it is 100% natural, so you don't have to worry about your kids getting a hold of it. It's perfectly easy to make and to store, and it costs almost nothing. While we're still in the kitchen, let's talk about a couple of dishwasher hacks that really will make cleaning your dishes a lot simpler and easier. I really do not like my dishwasher. I am not a fan of my dishwasher. I don't think that it's well made, and I don't think it does a great job. But these couple of things that I have learned have really improved the efficiency and the quality of clean that I'm getting out of my dishwasher. The first thing is, don't overpack your dishwasher. I used to feel like the dishwasher was like a Tetris challenge, and that it was the most efficient to get as many dishes in the dishwasher as humanly possible, and then shoving the door closed and expecting it to get everything clean. I really think that I was expecting too much, and since I have begun leaving space in between the dishes to make sure that the water has plenty of room to get around and it has plenty of opportunity to get everything cleaned, I have been much happier with the cleanliness of the dishes as they come out. Another thing that I have learned to be very important is to run the water at the sink about 2 minutes before I begin the dishwasher cycle, so that when the dishwasher fills up for the first rinse, it's always got super hot water. It's not going to be able to heat that water to begin with. The only way you're going to be able to get a hot rinse on the first rinse is for you to put hot water right at the tap for it to pull from. The last dishwasher tip that I have for you is, before you close the dishwasher and turn it on, give it a couple of squirts of regular dish soap. The first time I heard this, I really questioned whether or not it would work. I thought you weren't supposed to put that kind of dish soap in a dishwasher, but I have learned from experience that it really does make a huge difference in the end result of the cleanliness of the dishes when they come out of the dishwasher. I'm pretty sure that it has something to do with the first rinse cycle. It gives that cycle a little bit of cleaning agent to work with, and it just gets the cycle off on the right track. Try it. Let me know down below if it worked for you and what you thought. But this has been a huge game changer for me, because before I learned these tips, I was always having to rewash or hand wash a lot of dishes from the dishwasher that never came clean. But now 90% of the dishes that I put in dirty come out perfectly clean. Now let's talk about a DIY laundry powder that will be perfect for your washer and perfect for your clothes. I used to use like a free and clear laundry detergent a long time ago, but some of the people in my family have experienced eczema and other sensitive skin issues. So I have begun creating my own laundry powder, and it has worked amazing on keeping our clothes nice and clean while preventing any kind of allergy outbreaks for our family. I used to make a homemade laundry powder with some of the laundry soap shredded in, but I don't use the laundry soap anymore. The thing that I have found works perfectly is a 50-50 mixture of superwashing soda and borax. All you have to do is pour both of the boxes in, give it a good shake. I usually use about 2 tablespoons per load, and if I want to add a little bit of a scent, I will add an essential oil. That way everything is natural, everything is safe for the washing machine. All of the clothes always come out nice and clean, and it's about as cost efficient as I have been able to find. Another one of my favorite cleaning tools is the magic eraser. Now, I have ignored the magic eraser for a really long time, but recently I have really been thinking about different ways that I could use the magic eraser, and the list of the things that I have been able to do with a magic eraser is just amazing. They are very affordable. I don't buy the name brand, so I guess I shouldn't call them magic erasers, but I don't really know what they're called. But I will link it down below so that you can get this big 20 or 25 pack. Maybe it was even a 50 pack. You will spend pennies for each of the sponges, and the cleaning power that goes into each of those sponges is amazing to me. I have found that it works perfect to clean any kind of grime or dirt off of the kitchen sink. It's also really good to clean the bathroom sinks, as well as get all of the soap scum off of the shower door. Now, I would love to say that it was for the purposes of this homemaking video that I let this door get to this level, but honestly, the shower door is not my top priority, and so I've let it sort of get grimy. But this magic eraser sponge will just glide through soap scum, get it all off super easy. Then I can go back with the homemade orange cleaner that I was telling you about, and the shower door is perfectly clean and sparkly without me having to put out a lot of effort. So make sure that you go and get you some of these magic erasers. Either get them at Aldi or Walmart, or use the link below to get some at Amazon. I will also link the other cleaning products that I like to use. And I think finding the right tools and tricks to help homemaking easier is a really good way for us to be able to get things accomplished without feeling like everything is hard and difficult and a drudgery. Well, I guess that's enough for this video. I hope that it was helpful to you. My goal here is to encourage you to be the best homemaker that you can be, while still helping you to understand how important the role that you're playing for your family is, and to let you know that what you're doing is so valuable and so important. Again, if you have a couple of friends who may need a little encouragement in their homemaking journey, I hope you will send this video to them. Let them know what a great job they're doing, and maybe it'll also give them a couple of pointers to make homemaking a little bit easier. I plan to bring you a brand new low budget full week meal plan next week, so I hope that you will make sure and subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on all of your notifications so you don't miss that video, and until then, I hope you have a wonderful week. I love you, and I will see you again next time.